that's all. We wanted that no Forest play. Come join Greg and Richard right here on Talking Reds.
Hello and welcome to Talking Reds, a Nottingham Forest podcast hosted by myself, Greg Oram, and of course my podcast partner, Richard Spray. Today it's another episode from the One With series, and this is a voice many of you will already know if you're watching Forest content on YouTube. Consistent, straight talking, and very much in tune with what fans are seeing week to week. We're going to get into his journey, the rise of fan-led content, and a proper look at where Forest are right now under Vitor Pereira. The performances, results, and the battle, of course, to stay in the Premier League whilst on the road to Istanbul. We'll, of course, also put him through the lightning round and name that grandmother along the way, plus discover his personal all-time favourite Nottingham Forest team. Strap yourselves in, because this is the One With Rads.
Just nods it down. Gibbs White has back in the in. What skill! What a goal from Morgan Gibbs White. Firing over the cross. Yeah! Oh, Taiwo Awoniyi.
Left wing. He fancies a goal. Oh, he got it all right. Ryan Yates. There's a header that loops all the way in. Nicholas Dominguez.
This is the One With Rads.
Welcome to Talking Reds. Rads, it's great to have you with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. Richard and I got plenty we want to discuss with you. Where we always start, though, is by asking our guests about their own Forest story. How and why you became a Nottingham Forest fan. The floor is yours.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's like most people, really. It kind of runs in the family. I mean, my family, it's kind of split. There's a Derby side and there's a Forest side.
What's
Yeah.
wrong? Hang on a second.
I know.
Hang on a second.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Couple of Notts fans as well, but I'm on the right side.
Yeah, we're laughing
like
at
the
all
sound
the
effect.
Notts and Derby family members. Take it away. Carry on. You're on the good
Yeah.
side of the thing, zone.
Yeah. But it all kind of stems from my dad, really, being a Forest fan. His granddad was a Forest fan as well, so it just kind of went from there. And yeah, I mean, as a younger fan, it's been, I think a lot of people my age will say the same thing. It's obviously been quite turbulent and difficult, with some good moments, of course. But yeah, these last 4 or 5 years have been obviously just incredible. Complete contrast to what it was when I was a teenager. So yeah, it's just unheard of. But I guess I've always liked the football and followed football and Forest. But I think the moment when I really started to get into it was when we stayed up against Ipswich, when Chris Cohen scored. I was like Jordan Smith's save. Sombalonga got a couple that day. I remember that moment was quite significant for me. I got really hooked because it was obviously a very tense situation, and I just seemed to get really into it from that moment, even if it took a few years to get any kind of success at all. You know, I was well in at that point. I was before, you know, but I think I started as I got older as well. I started to understand it better as well. So yeah, that's basically it, really. It's my dad, and just yeah, living in the local area. I guess it was just natural for me to be a Forest fan.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure people are going to want to understand about your channel too. I mean, I know a lot of people subscribe, a lot of people enjoy it. I enjoy it. Greg enjoys it. So what was kind of the genesis behind that, starting that? Kind of what made you want to start that, and when did you realize that you were really starting to gain some credibility and some following from the fan base?
Yeah, I've been doing YouTube for quite a while now. It was mid to late 2019 when I did it at all. I mean, I kind of dabbled with it before that, but it wasn't anything proper. I started out just doing gaming content, so it was pretty different to what I do now. It's still about football, but yeah, I did that for a couple of years. It was kind of over the pandemic period. I did that, but then as we started to be able to go to games again, I just started to naturally cover Forest properly and go into actual games, and I definitely became more of a vlogger. You know, going to the matches, covering. I think I've probably missed maybe a handful of games the whole time I've been doing it. I've probably covered every game. And yeah, I remember I'd been at college, and I'd finished at college, and I just had some time, and I just thought, well, I'm going to give YouTube a real go, and didn't really expect much of it. I was only getting maybe a few hundred views, if that. But it seemed to take off more than I thought it would. I've got a bit of a core fan base, I guess, of people that watch me, which was amazing, really surreal. And yeah, I think after about a year, I got to about 1,000 subs, which was, yeah, beyond anything I could have thought I'd get. And yeah, I just kept going with it. I think over the years, there's been a big improvement with the quality of it and the things that I do on there. Nowadays, of course, it's very much focused on Forest. Might do the odd video predicting the league table and stuff, but you know, all football, covering all the games, going to all the home matches, and I just, you know, I really enjoy it. It's a very big part of my life. I do everything that goes into it, you know, doing the football side of it, then making the videos, everything, editing them, and you know, it's difficult at times, but you know, it keeps you on your feet, and it definitely allows you to be creative, and that's something I've always enjoyed doing. So yeah, that's kind of it, really.
I think it's harder than people might realize. We obviously have had the Talking Reds channel for all of a sudden coming up to 2 years now, which is bonkers. And we go out. We said at the start, we'll just do one episode a month, just to kind of like you know, whet our appetite. But it gets a bit addictive, and then we wanted to start previewing and reviewing every games. And the One With series was really kind of our kind of favorite little baby, where we get a chance to meet different people like you're on today. So you know, it is good fun, and we want to do it properly. And there's a lot that goes into the production side of things that people perhaps don't see. So what are the harder aspects that you've come up against, you know, especially after Forest don't play well, maybe a bad result? What are the harder moments of doing and running your own channel?
Yeah, it can be difficult at times, you know. I think to stay consistent, making sure you don't miss. I don't really like having big gaps in between videos, and sometimes that's hard to avoid with just whatever happens in your week. Yeah, that can maybe be a thing, being consistent. The editing side was something I kind of had to just learn myself, because I kind of knew about it, but I wasn't very good at it at all, really. I just kind of self-taught myself how to do it over the years, and I just kind of taught myself over YouTube tutorials, really. I guess anyone that's online as well is going to get a lot of mixed feedback. There's going to be probably most positive comments, but there's going to be some negative people as well, and you just got to take it on the chin, really. I've never really had anything bad as such, but there's obviously going to be some people that don't like you for whatever reason, and you know, if you're in the public eye, you're going to get used to it. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I just have to get on with it and ignore what people say, because I know that the majority of the people that watch me, you know, have respect for me and they do like what I do, which is really nice. So yeah, I just got to focus on that. So I guess the being in the public eye, the people that will watch you, there's going to be a mixed reception, and then just staying consistent. I guess that's something that's important. Can be a bit difficult, maybe, but yeah, there's going to be fors and against with everything, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things not that we didn't expect it. I mean, we obviously pay attention to socials and stuff like that, but I think there is, and for you, is it challenging to feel the responsibility of kind of reflecting the fan base, especially for a very unique and amazing group of fans that are who've seen, as you said, some of the lows, and then now you're seeing a little bit more of the highs. Obviously, this season's different. You'll talk about that later, but how much do you feel that responsibility to kind of represent the fan base in terms of what you put out there, and do you just prefer kind of calling it as you see it, versus trying to like be that happy clapper and so forth? Because you seem to balance it out really well. So how important it is for you to just call it as it is, really, and just let what will be, you know, so to speak, in terms of responses.
Yeah, I've always just tried to keep a level head, and just say what I think. I don't want to like go too overboard with anything that I say. I mean, you know, I can certainly get up for it when we win. I could certainly get frustrated when it doesn't go so well, which this season we've seen a lot of that, unfortunately. But I've never really been the sort to like rant as such or get angry, even when it's really hard supporting the team. I try and remain balanced. It's just more maybe frustration. Yeah, I don't know why I can do that. I just seem to be able to keep a level head, and I think a lot of people like me for that. The fact that I don't get too carried away, even when we win. Like at home games, I can certainly, you know, get very happy and, you know, screaming with celebrations. But I always try and keep my head level, because you never know what's going to happen next. And yeah, I just think it's the best approach, really. Just not be too overboard with either. And yeah, this season's definitely taught us that it can change an awful lot. You know, one minute we're like, yeah, we can easily stay up. The next minute it's like, yeah, we're down. It's over. So it's been this season's, I think you've seen the best of it, really. The two sides of being a football fan, really, but especially a Forest fan. And then obviously how I then reflect. But I mean, you say responsibility. I don't really feel a responsibility as such. I just kind of do my thing. I don't really think I need to say certain things. I just turn the camera on, and especially like when I'm doing a away reaction, I'll just say what I think of the game, really. I might plan a couple of little things as like references, but I won't be like, you know, oh, I've got to say this because the rest of the fan base think that Yates is awful and I think he's all right, that sort of thing. So yeah, I just try to keep a level head, really. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, and have you ever, I know sometimes I might cloak myself a little bit. So do you ever feel like I really want to just let a player or let the situation, the ownership have it, but maybe you've held back because of concerns about the reaction? Because you do try to avoid getting too high, too low, as you mentioned, but sometimes you do pay attention to it. You might want to, I probably shouldn't go that route because that might be a bit of a hot take, or that might get a reaction I don't want, or getting people unsubscribing. Has there ever been a situation like that?
Yeah. I know I say I don't really care like so much exactly what I say. I just say what I think of whatever's happening. But I do sometimes think maybe I shouldn't say that, or I shouldn't word it in a certain way because people might take it the wrong way. I remember I did a video last summer around when Gibbs White was nearly going to Spurs, and I was just looking at the two sides of Marinakis, and obviously he's been incredible for this club, but he's obviously a bit of a controversial figure, especially around that time. He was getting a lot of grief from non-Forest fans, and I just tried to look at both sides. And I think some people took it the wrong way. It was like I was almost having a go at Marinakis, which I don't really know why people looked at it like that, because I clearly was looking at it both ways. But I think the video, yeah, you could maybe see it in a way of me being negative. So that was kind of a situation where I was like, yeah, maybe people took that the wrong way, or I've got to be careful what I say. But yeah, I do sometimes think maybe I should just think about what I say at times. But like I say, if I do say something that might be a bit controversial, I just try and look at both sides, and just try and be as balanced as I can, really, with things.
One or two in the comments with us. Steph, good morning to you, Steph. She says she's really looking forward to this chat and she enjoys your pod as well. Bendor on tour says, man like Rads. He's in the comments as well. If you're with us and you want to chip in the comments, please do so. And why not hit like on this video and subscribe as well? You can follow us on all the channels such as X and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Please do give us a 5-star review if you're listening on a podcast somewhere. Thank you for tuning in if you are. In terms of your channel, Rads, I mean, what is the aim? Because we're talking about maybe what you say and how you say it maybe gets taken the wrong way and so on. And when you put yourself in front of the camera, you are going to get sometimes a few pelters, as we've experienced and you sound like you've experienced as well. Is the aim of the channel to grow and to be your full-time job and to basically be your source of income? Because when you're looking at a source of income and it being your livelihood, maybe that does sometimes get in the way of you really being forthright, because you don't want to lose people, you don't want to turn, get people turning the channel off and so on. So what, is it your full-time thing at the moment? Are you doing something else, or is that driving you forwards then with the channel and how you grow it?
Yeah, I guess I've always hoped I could kind of blow up at some point. I get like a spree where I get loads of subs, and I've had that on a smaller level. I've not really had anything major. I'm extremely grateful for having the support I have anyway, so I don't want to get like ahead of myself. But I guess just I want the channel to be as big and as good as possible. I think in terms of the quality of it, it's clearly got better over the years. Even if I might second guess it at times, I think if I look at it after maybe a few months of not watching something, I might have a fair reflection on it, and I think that's actually quite good. So I'm proud of how it's evolved for sure, and I just want it to just to continue growing. And I think everybody might think, oh, maybe I should get more subs or more likes and views, but I try to just focus on the content really, and just hopefully that's then an added bonus. It does all right. It does take up a lot of my time. It's a big focus. It's something I've done for a long time, of course, like I say. And yeah, I just want to be like a good voice for the community, like we've been saying. I think sometimes channels probably do end up being more popular if you're more controversial. So maybe if I did start clickbaiting and being a bit more aggressive, people might subscribe, but I don't like that. I've never liked that. And there's lots of channels out there which don't do that, which are very successful. So you don't need, that's just not my thing for me. So I just try to be, just a sound person, sound fan with everything I do, really.
Yeah, Steph's comments there. I would rather you just be you, don't overthink it. And then this person in the comments, I wonder who that could be. Good afternoon to your father, I believe. Welcome to the episode. Okay, well, listen, thanks for sharing a few bits about your own channel. If any Forest fan hasn't found you yet, of course, then you're on YouTube. What's your YouTube channel? What's it called? What's the handle, David?
Rads. Well, the actual handle is official Rads, I think. You might be able to find it on my channel on the bit underneath the main name, probably there. But yeah, that's basically me, really.
Just type Rads Nottingham Forest into YouTube, you'll find it. That's how I found it in the first place. And then you subscribe from there. But go and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm sure you got anyone listening and watching probably has. But if you haven't, then please go and subscribe. Really good content, really good videos. Let's move the conversation on and talk about our beloved Nottingham Forest. Just how crucial was that win against Spurs on Sunday, Rads?
Oh yeah, it was incredible. I think it couldn't really go any better for us, any worse for Spurs. And I think in what's been such a difficult season, last week was really refreshing, and it felt maybe the closest we've got to what we had last season, that sort of special feeling, the team feeling like a team again. I think even the bench making an impact as well, as we saw against Midtjylland. And I just think it will drive us all on, hopefully, to have a good end to the season. In Europe and in the league, I think the league has to still be more important. But I think that win against Spurs has finally given us a bit of breathing room. We're 3 points clear now, and with Spurs' situation, I mean, it's crazy to be talking about them in this context. But yeah, they're looking like they are a lot worse off. Leeds have kind of been stumbling a little bit. I think West Ham look pretty decent now, but obviously they're the chasing team. So I think looking at it like that, it can change very quick. But I think we're arguably, I think most teams would swap being in our position. Like West Ham would prefer to be where we are, for example. So yeah, I think that's quite a good situation for us to be in now, with a bit of a break, time to reflect. I mean, equally, I think it would be good if we had a game this week to keep it going. But I think a break's never going to be a bad thing, especially with the amount of games we've had this year. It's been crazy, the amount of matches we've had. But that Spurs game specifically was huge. To go there, to ride the storm in the first half, because it was all kind of Spurs, even if I didn't think they were that good, they were kind of dominating the game. And we just, stuck in there. I think we did some good defending when we needed to, and just had a couple of counter-attacks. And then obviously we had a corner through Nico. We put it wide, I believe. And then we had another one and we scored. And it felt like that moment the game just flipped. And Spurs never looked like getting back into it. And we went on to do something we've struggled to do this season and score 2 more goals. And all 3 goals were fantastic and really well worked. So yeah, hopefully not just wins, but a few more goals might be in store the rest of the season based off that game against Spurs and against Midtjylland. Actually scored 2 against them. So hopefully, we can score a few more goals and we can use this as good momentum now.
Well, I'm curious to get your thoughts, or we're curious to get your thoughts too, about Vitor Pereira. Obviously, like all of us, you've been watching all of the chaos and then all the chopping and changing of managers. So where do you think we actually are right now? I mean, let's peel back the curtain a little bit from your perspective on him. How do you think we're operating under him now? What are you seeing, positive, negative? I know you're balanced, so curious to get your thoughts on him as a manager right now.
Yeah, I really like him. He's surprised me, actually, how well he's done so far. And I know it's only really been the last couple of games where we've seen to see a real change, but I think even in the games we didn't win with him, besides that Brighton match away from home, I think there's been positives to take from most of them, really. I think the players clearly seem to be bonding with him well after the chaos of Deitch and Ange and everything that happened with Nuno. This season, I think we're going to look back on it with regret, really, missed opportunity. Even if we were to win the Europa League, which I'm sure would be papering over the cracks of the league, it's still sad that the league's gone the way it has done. I think we all wish that Nuno was still here and that hadn't have happened. But, we seem to have found a manager now that seems to be vibing with us again and making things work. And yeah, long may it continue, because after all the turbulence before that, it was just a whirlwind. You didn't know what was going to happen each and every week. Sean Dyche never felt like the right fit or long-term fit. And Ange, obviously, I mean, he's admitted himself it was too soon for him to come into this job. So hopefully, even though I know Wolves fans aren't particularly keen on him now, hopefully he can do something well with us and he can keep it going. And I hope he does continue into next season, if he can have a good end to the season, that is, especially. But I like the good vibes he's bringing. He does remind me a bit of Nuno in a way that he's very grounded. He's just focused on the job in hand. And I just like that sort of attitude that he has. And yeah, just for the sake of stability, I hope he stays our manager, because it's been far too chaotic this season before him.
I mean, I've said realistically, I think if he keeps us up, but he won't be our manager. My hunch is that Marco Silva comes in. I think it's all being again, this is just guesswork, so don't come at me in the comments. I just think there's Silva not committing to Fulham yet. I kind of feel that there's maybe a conversation being had that Forest stay up with Pereira. He's been bought in. You're right. He has got that calming sort of aspect to him that Nuno definitely had. And there's been other similarities that people have talked about between Vitor Pereira and Nuno as well. But Pereira is a man in his own right. I just think that come the end of the season, we will stay up. My own personal gut feeling is that he will be out the door and Marco Silva comes in. But on Pereira, I've been impressed with him. It's been a bit of a slower burn. I didn't want Deitch sacked, if I'm honest with you. I said that on here. I thought it was a very risky move. And we looked at Vitor Pereira's record of his first 10 games at clubs, and it was really promising that he'd win a good amount of those games. And we really need him to come in and win his games in the Premier League. I mean, he's had a couple of wins so far. One's been in the Europa League, or sorry, I beg your pardon, 2 have been in the Europa League away, and that 1 in the Premier League. We need to make sure that any more wins really come in the Premier League. He's had decisions to make. What for you has been his biggest decision so far? If I can get my words in. And do you think he got it right? What was that decision that stood out for you?
I think that he's definitely shown a bit more character, I think, to make decisions. I think he's not played it quite as safe. I think there was a game where Luca played and he didn't do very well. And then the next game he wasn't even in the match squad. And it just kind of showed he wasn't afraid to make that sort of decision. Obviously, he's given Jai Cunha a go as well, which no other manager seems to want to even look at him. And I think he's looked like a real prospect for us. So I think maybe he might have just kind of grabbed it by the scruff of the neck a bit more than other managers and been willing to make maybe tough decisions like that, in terms of team selection, even formation. He's played a back 3 at times, played a back 4. I think he's been more willing to change more than other managers. And yeah, I think you have to be able to do that, especially nowadays as a manager. You've got to be adaptive and you've got to be able to make difficult decisions. And hopefully we can see him continue doing that. And yeah, it was obviously going to be a hard situation for him to come into, but I think so far he's certainly steadying the ship for us. And like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't the manager next season. Even though I think if he was to keep playing like he is or managing like he is, I don't see why he shouldn't be. Maybe somebody like Marco Silva is more of a high profile. And yeah, like you say, obviously Silva's not committed to Fulham right now, so maybe he is in talks with another club. It could easily be the case. And I know we've had our eye on him for a while. But yeah, maybe Vitor wasn't the first. I think he certainly wasn't the first choice manager. But after Deitch, which was always going to be a risky move to make another change, and I didn't really want to change because I didn't really want to see another manager because it was just more chaos. But equally, I personally didn't think Deitch was the right option either, and I thought it was going to be hard for us to stay up with him. When Vítor came in, I really weren't sure if he could do it either. But I think he's, like I said, I think he's steadied the ship better than Ange and Deitch did. I think I certainly feel a bit more. He can get a bit more out of the squad. In my opinion.
I think the Liverpool game we were really good in, but lost when we shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
The Brighton game, as you pointed out, was the one kind of blot where we weren't brilliant. But then you go to Man City, get the point. You really should have beat Fulham, but get the point, and then you beat Spurs. It's building in the right direction. We're going to talk more about Vitor Pereira and Nottingham Forest a bit later on. But before we go to a break, we always ask everybody who comes on to Talking Reds to give us their own personal all-time Nottingham Forest 11. And on screen, I'll read it out for you. This is what it looks like. This is Rads' Reds. In goal, we've gone for Brice Samba. He's gone for Nico Williams at left back, Morello and Joe Worrell at centre back, and Jed Spence at right back. It's a 4-2-3-1, so it's Anderson and Ryan Yates in the midfield, Joe Lolly on the left, Brennan Johnson on the right, Morgan Gibbs-White in the 10, and Chris Wood up top. So a lot of names that many fans will know, of course, because they are current within the last set of years. Joe Lolly, I'll ask you about him. I mean, we all know his attributes. He still speaks and talks so fondly about Forest. He's down in Australia still living the life. But why did you go for Joe Lolly over perhaps another winger you could have picked, maybe a Mikel Antonio or someone like that?
Yeah. Antonio, Hudson-Odoi, Alango, I did consider those for sure. And maybe I'm being sentimental, but I was just always such a big fan of Joe Lolly when he was with Forest. I know in his last couple of years he wasn't that good really. He struggled with fitness, and I think he had injuries, of course. But when he first joined us, he was one of the best players in the league. He was crucial to us in that. I think he joined in that 17-18 season in the January, I think, and then he was with us the year after. He was unplayable on form. I think he was actually more on the right, I think, but he could play on the left too. He played his part in getting us promoted as well. But yeah, I know there's better players than him probably, but it's probably more sentimental for me. With
That's
Joe.
what we ask. There's no wrong answers. It's what the ones that mean the most to you. There's a lot of close calls on every position. I'm certain of that. And Joe Lolly was fantastic for us. We love Joe Lolly. So, like I said, there's no wrong answers. And I guess the other player I want to pull out is Mr. Bridegroom himself, Joe Worrell, who was snapped with Holly at King's Cross the other day on his stag do. Kind of speaks for itself. But Joe Worrell, Mr. Nottingham Forest. Yeah,
it's got to be for me. And I know some Forest fans didn't really like the way he left the club, but you know, I'm one that I wish he was still here, and I think he probably had to leave. Really, I don't think he was going to do anything if he stayed. But you know, just having Wall and Yates, like the academy lads that have got promoted with us, to have them both still here would be really nice. It's great that we've still got Yates, of course, and he's still playing his part. Especially the other day, he was great. But you know, Joe was at the club for a long time and was, he was a stalwart in the team for a number of years. And even the Championship, he had the odd game where he was a bit suspect, but he was crucial to getting us up. I mean, like we said, there's lots of options. I think even in that season, I'd say Scott McKenna was arguably better than Wall. But I would have to pick Wall over him for this sort of team. I mean, obviously Milenkovic is another one. There's so many players I could pick, but yeah, probably just for sentiment, and also just because he was a great player for us in his own right. I think I would have Wall in there.
Yep, can't argue with it. Can't pick them all. Thank you very much for putting together Rads is Red, Samba, Williams, Murillo, Worrell, Spence, Anderson, Yates, Lolly, Gibbs-White, Johnson, and Wood. All right, time for a quick break.
The Cheese Trader, based on Grape Lane in York, is a cheese lover's paradise. Home to some wonderful specialty cheeses, relishes and chutneys, and also with a fantastic street food menu. Try their loaded fries or posh cheese on toast. It'll be the best you've ever had. Owned by Forest fan Stu Freestone, the Cheese Trader proudly sponsors Talking Reds. Quote Talking Reds every time to get 10% off your order. The Cheese Trader and Talking Reds, the perfect cheesy mix.
Stu Freestone is the cheese trader, and it's 10% off when you quote Talking Reds every time. All right, let's do this.
The lightning round!
Yes, we're going to do the lightning round. So, David, I mean, you're 24 years old. I have no idea if you know what Friends is, but that's where this comes from. So, classic American, sitcom. We'll just run through these real quick. So, easy question. Favorite Forest player of all time?
I'm going to go
Maybe
Ryan
not so
Yates.
easy. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I got him right here. I'm with you. Favorite away or third kit?
I actually quite like the blue one you got behind you there from last season. I always liked that one. The high vis one we had when we got promoted was obviously not the greatest to look at, but it was iconic. And one more, I like the yellow one from the first Premier League season, the yellow and blue one with the Trent End on the not the Trent End, Trent Bridge. Yeah, on the sleeves. I really like that one as well. So there's lots of kits actually that I could pick there.
Fantastic. What is your favorite away ground?
I mean, like I said, I don't actually get to go to any of the away games, sadly, but there's a lot of grounds I'd love to go to. I'd say I'd love to go to Villa Park or St James's Park at Newcastle. Obviously, the big sides like Anfield. Yeah, that would be amazing. So I'd probably say one of those actually.
Fantastic. What player in the Premier League from a non-traditional top 6 side would you like on the current squad?
Ooh. So not from the big 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I don't actually know.
You got your Brightons, your Wolves, your Bournemouths, your West Ham's in there, your Palace. Palace is in there. All those kind of teams.
Yeah. I don't know why I got it in my head, but John McGinn just comes to mind.
It's not a bad shout.
I like him actually. Yeah,
I love John McGinn. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I just thought of Villa and I thought of John McGinn. Yeah, I'll take that actually.
He gives you a bit of fight, right? So we could use that this season for sure. Yeah. I like that. That's a really nice shout actually. You can only keep 2 in a Forest shirt for the next 5 years. You've got Anderson, Morgan Gibbs White, Murillo, or Nico. Which 2 are you keeping?
I had to answer this question the other day, actually, or similar, and it's really difficult. I think we kind of run with Morgan, really. As great as Anderson is unbelievable. I probably has a higher ceiling. I think when Morgan isn't in the team, we're not quite the same. And Murillo again. I mean, they're all fantastic. I probably would have to say Morgan and Nico. Nico's probably my favourite player in the current side. So
fantastic, love it. If not a manager from Forest history, who would be your manager of choice to coach the current squad?
You know what, we with all the managers we've had this season, it always kind of came up as like a half joke that Mourinho could be our manager, and I was like, no way. And even though he's a character, I just, that would just be so surreal if he was our manager. So I'm happy with Vitor Pereira, and as much as I love Nuno and Steve Cooper, I'm going to say Mourinho. Just be wild.
There you go. Hey, we'll take it. I love it. If you could see, if it'll actually come up on the screen, if you could see one comedian, a TED Talk, or one musical act perform at the eventual New City Ground, who would it be?
Okay. I mean, comedian Matt Ford is a Forest fan, isn't he?
Fantastic.
So he comes to mind straight away. Yeah, musical acts. I mean, I'm thinking of stadiums. We saw what Oasis did last year. Imagine if they played at the City Ground. So
that'd be insane.
I'll go for that actually. Yeah,
fantastic. I know many would enjoy that. Okay, last question. Forest win the Premier League. This is kind of unfortunately timely, but are then relegated into the Championship for the next 25 years. Would you take it?
Probably. I think if it was like, if you win the league and then you get relegated, but you come back up straight away, you'd probably say yes. But I think the fact that we've already had 23 years in the wilderness, it's like I'd rather not do that again.
Don't want to revisit that.
No, I'm going to have to pass, I'm afraid, on that one.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That was the lightning round. Well done. Thanks,
I majored in lightning rounds. All right.
Awesome. Okay, let's move ourselves on to the conversation again about Forest and the season as a whole. Rads, can you sum it up? I mean, everyone knows it's been an up and down, with more downs probably than ups. But how would you sum up your thoughts on the season as a whole?
Yeah, it's been everything that Nottingham Forest is probably known for, really. It's been very chaotic. Too much chaos. There's been great moments, with the Europa League. That's been so special, seeing us play in Europe. Something I never thought I'd see, at least after where we were in the Championship when we got promoted. It's like, that's just, you couldn't even think it. And there's been some good wins, like against Spurs at the weekend, but overall, it's been very tough. I wouldn't say I've enjoyed it most of the time. It's just been very, not very enjoyable really in a lot of ways. I'd just say it's been very chaotic from the get-go. Obviously, the way we ended last season was a bit disappointing to not get in the Champions League. But I mean, to be saying that now, I mean, we'd all have loved to have been in 7th again, wouldn't we? So I don't think that was really a negative, but it left a bit of a slight sour taste the way it ended, and I guess it kind of carried into this season. There was a clear unrest with Nuno, Edu, Marinakis, and that saw Nuno leave, which is a shame. I think we're still trying to get over that. I think the players clearly didn't want that to happen. As we saw with that West Ham game, I feel like we don't lose that game 3-0 if Nuno was still going to be the manager. I think it was clearly a reflection on the decision that he was not going to be here. So that was a shame. And obviously, I don't think even Marinakis knew what was going to happen then. And it was like, who on earth comes in at this point? You think of the recruitment as well. It's been questionable. There's been a lot of times where I think we've questioned how good some of the players that have come in are. I think they've all clearly got a bit of talent in there, even like McAtee and Bako of late. They've shown that they can do something, but they haven't shown it enough. That hasn't really helped. Then obviously the changes of managers, and we've finally seemed to have settled on Vitor Pereira. But I mean, 39 days with one manager is something you don't normally see, and all the comedy that kind of went around it of it being Ange Postecoglou. It was just kind of a joke appointment from the get-go. And then Sean Dyche, obviously came in, he knew the club, it was always going to kind of rally the fans, but I think a lot of people think he's a bit old school, but maybe a bit outdated, and maybe it didn't work. Who knows what would have happened if we'd kept him, but I think again that was maybe a bit of a panic appointment at the time.
It's about time. So, I thought it was about timing a little bit. Sorry to interrupt, because the more I think about it, because of when Nuno goes, I think Marinakis' head had been turned by the fact Ange Postecoglou was available, and I think that he wanted Ange, and he was blinded by some kind of affinity for him. But once Ange gets sacked, and you're looking for another manager, Vitor Pereira, in hindsight, would have been the perfect guy to bring in at that point. But I don't think it was long enough since his departure from Wolves, because I know that he came into Wolves and did really good things to keep them up. But this season, obviously starting so poorly, I think his halo was massively diminished. So to bring Pereira in after Ange, I don't think would have really gone down well at all with the fans. And Dyche coming in at that point was kind of almost just made perfect sense as far as I could tell. But with hindsight, if we could flip it over so Pereira comes in after Ange, my gut feeling is that actually Pereira would have still been in role. We wouldn't have gone to a fourth manager. But had we had to go to a fourth manager, the Dyche effect would have been a much better kind of fit for us with just 10 games to go rather than him coming in when he did. Do you think that there's any sense to that? Maybe if they'd flipped round, it's all about timing.
Yeah. I said for a while, I think you appoint Sean Dyche around this time of year, after the January transfer window onwards. If you're in trouble, it's like that's when you probably appoint Sean Dyche. But we appointed him in mid-October when the season was still quite young. There was still a long way to go. And it felt like if this doesn't work, it's like, then what? And I think with how Dyche is and what he's known for, especially nowadays, I don't think he's as effective as what he would have been when he was at Burnley, especially when he was getting promoted and got Burnley into Europe. I don't think it's the same Sean Dyche as it was then. I don't think it can work in the same way. It always felt a bit risky going to him then. I think after Ange, you needed somebody that could connect to the club, like we had with Steve Cooper and Nuno. But I mean, in terms of Sean Dyche, I mean, he definitely had a connection to the club. Even if he didn't play for us, he was connected to us. We always saw him coming to games as a fan. And obviously Steve Stone, Ian Wone with him. I mean, that was immediately going to make people connect to them. And I think, I mean, that Porto game, it was a great atmosphere, having those three in charge, and then, you know, the occasion. Actually, just the start of him actually was pretty good. Beating Liverpool like we did was great. Drew United early on, but then you saw the wheels started to fall off a little bit. I think when we lost to Everton the first time, and then over Christmas, the whole time it was, apart from Spurs actually, it was really, really tough. And then going out the FA Cup like we did to Wrexham, it was like, I'm just not sure this is going to be a sustainable appointment. So I agree with what you're saying. If he'd come in now when Vítor came in, it would have made more sense, because he probably wouldn't have had the chance to run out of steam as such. And I think Pereira actually was still at Wolves. I think he was sat like 2 weeks later or something. But it would have been
November.
Yeah, I
right?
think I was just thinking about it as I was saying, and maybe he was still even at Wolves, so probably wasn't even available. Just kind of moving on to the Europa. What's your view on Europa? We've got this break now. We're playing Porto as our next game, so I'm interested to get your take on what should be going on in this next couple of weeks. Do you think that Vítor should be putting out the same team that played the second leg at Midtjylland, with all those changes, the McAtees, the Bakwazi, the Ndoys, the Hutch, the Dominguez, and so on? Would you like to see that team go out against Porto? Because that's an away fixture. And so would you like to think that the next 2 weeks is literally just that team being drilled and being prepared for that? And do you want us to go deep into Europe and win it still? Can we juggle both that and the Premier League?
If we were where West Ham are, I think more people would be saying, I think we need to just kind of forget about it. But I think even when we were in 17th, it was very precarious. It still is precarious, but you've kind of got a bit more breathing room than if you are actually, adrift like West Ham have been for most of the season. I want us to go far in Europe, because we've not been in Europe for a long time. I mean, people like me have never seen it. So you want to take that opportunity, really. And I mean, unless we win the Europa League, we're not going to be in Europe next season, or we don't know when it might be. It could be a long time again. So it's like, let's make the most of the opportunity and the chance. And especially when I don't think there's anybody in the tournament now that's a clear favourite. I think nobody is like really obviously going to win. Like with Chelsea last year in the Conference League, they were so obviously going to win it. I don't think there's anything quite like that with us in the Europa League. So I think it's really open, and it would be like a bit of a missed opportunity, I think, if we didn't take it seriously. I think it's certain us to win it, really, even if we were doing well in the Premier League. You probably feel more confident about us winning it. But, it's going to be hard, because you're playing European football, even if you're playing against sides that are maybe not like, a side that dropped down from the Champions League like it used to be, which would be a lot harder. It's still going to be difficult to go all the way, especially with, there's actually more games now to win, because there's 2 extra league games. So I want us to take it seriously and go for it. And I mean, winning the Europa League would just be unbelievable, to get another European trophy after so long, and just to win a trophy again. That I can't put into words what that would be like, but we do need to obviously balance it, and we need to make sure we stay in the league, because if we were to get relegated, I mean, that would be really bad, with not only starting again, but then you're going to lose a lot of players. And if we think it's been unstable in this season, I think it would be very unstable if we got relegated. So staying up is really, really crucial. If I had to choose the two, I think you've got to prioritise that. And to answer your question about the starting 11, I think going to Porto, it's more risky playing that team than going to Midtjylland. And obviously we were losing to Midtjylland going into that game, but I think there was a bigger chance of us turning Midtjylland over away than beating Porto. And I know we've already beaten Porto, but it wasn't at their ground. I think that could be a real tough place to go, even with the first team. But I think it's a decision we've got to make, because it's obviously sandwiched between a lot of Premier League games. There's Villa at the weekend, and there's the Burnley game after the second leg. So there's lots of games all in one go. So, I mean, if we're to get a good result at Porto, would we rotate in the second leg possibly? Or should we go there and hope for the best, get a point maybe, or get a draw, and then try and win it with the first team in the week? I wouldn't be surprised if Vítor went with the same sort of side, especially if with somebody like Ortega, because I don't think there's a massive difference between Ortega and Sells. I think we're blessed to have two really good goalies there. Maybe somebody like McAtee, Bakra, it might be hard for them to step up to that sort of level, but I mean, I guess they've got to play against that sort of side to really prove their worth. So, yeah, I'm not going to be too bothered either way, really, if we were to go a bit rotated again, because they have shown that they can do it now. But yeah, it's we've got to have a bit of rotation, I would imagine, because there's so many games in one go, isn't there? So yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, you kind of touched on that, just the prioritization stuff and balancing that all out. So looking at the relegation battle, as much as we've got a little bit of breathing room, right? Just finally, we had a weekend where we got some breathing room, where it felt like there were other times where we could have done that. But so from your perspective, looking at, Burnley and Wolves, the most likely, obviously, candidates to go down at this stage, who do you think that third team is that falls into that 18th position in the table from your perspective, from looking at the fixtures we've got on the screen right now between Leeds, us, Spurs, and West Ham? Who would you point to that you think is probably going to go down?
Well, I mean, looking at form, I think Spurs are the ones that are in the most trouble, which, yeah, it's just crazy to be talking about them in this context. But
and probably changing a manager very soon, unfortunately, for Igor Tudor and his unfortunate loss of his father, but not good timing. But you're on mute, Greg, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I beg your pardon. Just on that change of manager as well, just quickly, I mean, it looks like they're going for another guy that I would never have picked. I mean, if they're going to change the manager now, surely at this point is when they go hardcore Spurs person, get them galvanized, Premier League know-how, someone who's been there, done it, get them over the line. And they're looking at Adolf Hutter from Austria. I mean, I bet he had a great time at school with that name. But, again, it just smacks to me that Spurs are getting their decisions wrong, Rads.
No, yeah, definitely. I think, I think us Spurs have been very unstable this season. I think it's probably going to be worse from Spurs' point of view because they just shouldn't be in that position, really. But they are. I think that's possibly going to play against them because they're not going to be expecting to be in this position. They're probably going to have a bit of entitlement that they're Spurs, they shouldn't be getting relegated. But I think anybody can get relegated if you're in that position. I think you're there for a reason. I mean, we've seen big teams go down before. Villa, Newcastle have gone down. I think Spurs would be more shocking because they're classed as the big six, which I don't like to believe in it really because I don't think you should separate anyone, but that would make it more of a surprise. I think West Ham, despite the fact they're chasing, they are in the best form. We seem to be getting our act together now, or more capable of getting results, even if we're still going to have goal scoring problems. I think, we've got it in us to get points. And I know Leeds have not scored for a bit. They haven't won that many. I think they've
2
won
draws.
4
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've won 4 in 17. But if they're getting draws, I guess they are at least getting points. So that's probably going to help them. And they've probably got more draws in than even Spurs have. So I am probably going to favour Spurs right now to get relegated, which is just mind-boggling. But that's just how it is. That's how it's gone. I think a lot of people would like them to go down as well.
Yeah, I think so. On Forest, I mean, are Forest better than the table suggests? I mean, do you think that we're pretty much where we deserve to be? And what would you say to fans that are on the extremes of it at the moment, the ones that are down in the dumps, still really negative, or the ones that are really high, thinking we've got it in the bag? What would you say to those set of fans? And are we where we should be?
Yeah, I'd say we are. Yeah, based off how the season's gone, I think we are where we deserve to be. I think in terms of the squad we've got, it should be higher. Like we're saying, I think this team's proven it's more than capable of going to the Etihad and getting a draw and stuff like that. Results like that have proven we've got quality in this side. And based off last season, there's still the core of this side is the side that got European football. Even if some players have left, like Alanga and Danilo, I'm going to include even like Harry Toffolo just for his leadership. Someone like that is a big loss to the dressing room. But there's still a core of that team that was so successful last season, that was so solid and could score goals. To be third in the league for so long, that's not a fluke. You're there because you've earned the chance to be there. So yeah, to have fallen down like we have, it's very self-inflicted, like we've been saying with the managers, maybe some of the players that have left and come in. It was all avoidable, in my opinion, even with how last season tailed off. But I think that also shows, even with the squad we've got now, I think we're more than capable of being higher. And maybe if the Ange tenure hadn't have happened, then that just kind of completely made us lose any chance of having a good season. Maybe we would be higher. Maybe if we'd got rid of Deitch sooner. It's hard to say that. If we'd just gone straight to Deitch, we would have actually been in a better position, because you take Andrew's results away, under Deitch we were still about 13th, I think, in the league. Which is why some say we shouldn't have got rid of him, because he was getting the results, even if it was not good football. When it was bad, it was really bad. When it was good, it still wasn't anything spectacular, but he was doing what mattered. He was getting his points. But maybe if we'd gone straight to Deitch, it would have been different. We might have been more like 14th, which would sound better and look better. So yeah, I do think we would be higher if the season had gone just a little bit differently. And maybe I think next season, if we can get a couple of good players in, make a few changes, there's no reason why we can't have a good year again. Like, not necessarily being top 6 again, but just being a comfortable, stable side. We'd all love that. So
that's what we all want.
Fantastic.
Hindsight is a fantastic thing when you look back on the season and you see the ups and downs of it. All the manager changes, all the off-field shenanigans. It's all about just survival now. And if we can add a European trophy as well, that's just going to put the cherry on top of the cake. We are out of time, Rads. It's been a great hour chatting to you. We do have time for just one more thing, though.
Name that grandmother.
Okay, then here it comes. This is my favourite part of the pod to finish it all off. Just something a bit random for you. Here we go. Marmite, love it or hate it?
I don't really. I'm going to say hate, because I've never even had it. I've never even tried it. So
you need to get
goodness.
some nice hot toast, loads of salted butter, and then on top of that, a nice smear of Marmite, and in you go. Jump right in.
I don't have a preference on that one.
How am I cooking your steak?
I don't really know, actually. Probably like medium rare, I guess.
I've never had steak before.
I've never really thought of. No, I definitely had steak.
What's your favourite cheese?
Yeah, I'm going to be really boring and say cheddar.
Do you know what? I was thinking about this. Actually, I think probably most people's favourite cheese has got to be cheddar, because that's the one that probably people have all the time. Yeah, and that's probably my favourite cheese. I guess when we ask what's your favourite like speciality cheese, like a Boursin or a Gouda and stuff like that. But yeah, cheddar is, I think, probably everyone's favourite sandwich. Favourite cheese. That's the next question. What's the best sandwich?
You know what? I'm going to stick with the cheese theme again. I'm going to say cheese, ham, something like that. Yeah, I'm not really that cultured.
You're no frills, aren't you? No frills.
No, I'm very basic.
What's your favourite film?
You know what? I'm gonna stick with the Forest theme and say I Believe in Miracles.
Yeah, I think we've had
Fantastic.
that one before. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
and
you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. So what are your grandmother's names?
My grandma's name was Maureen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually know my other grandmother, but yeah, I'd say it was Maureen. Yeah,
Maureen,
Excellent.
fantastic, wonderful grandmother's names and grandmas and grandparents. We salute you everywhere. All right. Thank you very much for taking part in Name That Grandmother as well. That does take us to the end of this episode. Lots of you have joined us in the comments. Thank you for dipping in and adding your own comments along the way. Please do go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and join us as we are on the march on YouTube to try to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're just under that at the moment. So do us a favor, do us a solid, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Rads, thank you so much again. The floor is yours to give us any final thoughts that you may have on Forest and on your channel.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, by the way, of course. It's been good to be here. Just a bit different, of course. That's good. But yeah, just keep supporting the team, really. I know it's been a very tough season and a frustrating one. And I think we want a bit of a reset when it's over. But yeah, we just need to stick together as fans, as a club, and just try and hope for the best outcome, really. Have a good run in Europe. I mean, we've already had that, really. I think the quarterfinals is a great return, but I mean, the semi-finals, final, and winning that final, you know, it would be very, very, very special. And then obviously to if we could ideally stay up by a couple of points at least, that would be nice. So yeah, have a good end to what's been obviously a very Nottingham Forest-like season, just full of pure chaos, really, and the odd good moment.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much. Richard, anything you want to add before we go?
No, I just want to shout out to his dad as well. I mean, it's always wonderful to see his dad and him go to those matches and enjoy it. I mean, clearly there's moments where, especially this season, as you just alluded to, where it's not been so enjoyable, but I just always love watching your videos. My son watches your videos. He's 15, really getting into Forest now and really enjoys them. And I went to one of your videos, candidly, to look at your set piece breakdown when we had such a debacle with set pieces. I mean, it's not been great this season either, but a couple of seasons ago, it was really dire. And so it was great to use that video. It's super informative, great breakdown of the challenges we were dealing with there and what we needed to see moving forward. And Greg and I talked about that very much in our first sort of iteration of episodes. So it's not just entertainment and enjoy watching the dynamics between you and your dad, but it's also really informative and just great breakdown from a football standpoint too, which is fantastic. So if anybody for whatever reason is not subscribing, please do, because it's excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. One more thing I will add as well, just to kind of remind you guys that Richard's X account is only one. The old one got hacked and is still under lock and key from the hackers. I've actually blocked that account because they were sending me private messages still. So block the old account. The only one that you should now be following for Richard Spray is at NFFC_Oki. It's on the screen at the moment, at NFFC_Oki. That's the only true, legit Richard Spray X account. Okay. Thanks ever so much for joining us on this One With episode. We're going to be back with another One With on Sunday before we take a little bit of a break. And then we'll be back with a preview of the Porto game just before that Thursday night. Keep your spirits up, guys. We're at the bottom three. We're on the march to Istanbul. Come on, you Reds.
Come join Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.